This is the Joe Mullins Show, showcasing the vibrant spirit of Florida and America's innovative creators. This is the place for captivating conversations, inspiring guests, and industry professionals celebrating the best place in the world to live, shop, work, and play. And now, your host, County Commissioner, entrepreneur, and freedom advocate, Joe Mullins.
Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live, Work, Shop, Play Show, and I want to welcome you to our brand new version of the video show of the Joe Mullins Show, where we talk about Florida being the greatest state in the greatest country and the model state, showing people how to live, work, shop, and play at its best. But this weekend, I'm excited to talk about the sports side, the entertainment side of Florida, the play side. We have got the start of one of the biggest seasons ever in NFL and college football. College football starts this week and NFL's next week, and everybody's sitting there going, their team's going to win the championship and their team's going to win the Super Bowl. So I thought I'd bring a special guest in today to talk about who's going to actually probably have the best chances and his thoughts on how the industry has changed over the years. I have got the immortal and amazing Coach June Jones. Coach Jones, welcome to the show.
Aloha to you, Joe. Good to see you and see your face.
Now, Coach Jones, you're out in Hawaii, so I appreciate you joining us this early in the morning, coming on the show and talking about it. Now, you have been an amazing figure in football, not just a great athlete, a great quarterback, but you've been an amazing recruiter, amazing NFL coach, a college coach. You've coached teams like the Atlanta Falcons, the San Diego Chargers, the University of Hawaii. I think you guys went to an undefeated season until you played a little team called Georgia Bulldogs. But we gave us a good run. Y'all had a great quarterback, I will say that too. And then SMU, you've coached some many other teams and many other things. Let's talk a little bit about your career and your passion, why you stayed in football so much.
Well, from the time, from the time I was a little kid, I had a dream to play professional football since I was 5 or 6, 7 years old. I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I actually wasn't in football until I got to be a teenager because I realized that you had to run fast to play baseball and basketball, and I was slow. And so I taught myself how to throw a football. In fact, I can remember throwing a football up against a concrete wall, just put circles with my chalk on the wall and through. I can remember one summer when I started, my fingertips started to bleed. I threw so many balls, but I made it. It took me a long time. I went to 3 colleges, didn't play for 4 years in college. And in my 5th year, Mouse Davis took me to Portland State, and I set the record still stands in Division II football, passing record, touchdowns. And I was lucky enough to walk on with the Falcons and make it with the Falcons for 5 years, and then knew that I wanted to stay in football, so that was coaching, and then I got into coaching from there.
Now, Coach, you were talking about the passion with a child, and this reminds me, just recently I was talking to my son who loves basketball. Great little kid, Huck, you've met him, and you've been an inspiration to him. And he looked at me and he said, Dad, I think I'm going to quit playing basketball. And I said, why? This is your passion. He goes, I know, I love it. I love it more than anything, but I'm not 6'9". I'm more your height. I'm 5'8", 5'9". And he said, I don't know that I want to play it anymore. And I think I'm just going to quit because I'm getting discouraged. And I looked at him and I remember some things you told me, and I heard you tell other players. And I looked at him and I said, hey, Huck, just enjoy the process. No matter what happens out of this, you're going to look back and have some great memories. And you told me that when I went into my political career. You told me that in many different areas. You told me that in my marriage. I probably, but beautiful marriage. I mean, you were my best man at my marriage out in Hawaii, and such a beautiful, beautiful place out there. I know why you stay out there. But what would you say to kids saying something like that, being that you were in it and you had such a challenge to get to the big show?
Well, it's hard. It's hard because the competition is so great now in the younger ages. Like you say, that when we were growing up, those point guards, 5'8" to 6'2" were plentiful, and now they're 6'5" to 6'9", the same guys. It's just gotten so competitive, and I think the thing that I would say is to don't quit, but try to find a spot that you can still be a part of basketball, whether it be as a coach to younger kids, or if it's truly your passion, find that spot administratively that you can still enjoy the game and be a part of it. And there's enough places for that to happen in the colleges nowadays that they hire. And as long as you're persistent with it, some coach is going to give you a chance.
You talk about, your goal. I'm sure when you were younger and you were a kid, your desire was to play football, and that may have not been the route or your path may have not led to what you imagined or hoped it led to. But then you quickly went into coaching and you became an amazing coach. And you look up and you go, the players you've influenced and the players you developed. I know my good buddy and the guy I work with, Junior Seau, said he didn't have a better coach. One of the best linebackers in the world, talking about you that way and how close he was and how much he enjoyed working with you. I said, what made the difference with him? And he said, he genuinely cares about us. I know when he tells me something, I trust him more than I do my own father. He said, I know the man looks out for me. That level, that just doesn't happen overnight. And that's not something you fall into. That's a commitment and a desire.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I made that a very huge point of my coaching part. I knew that what I could do offensively, but I needed to get the kids to believe in themselves, believe in each other, and have that passion for each other as friends and teammates. And that becomes to show on the field. And it peaks the height of their abilities performing. And so I really focused on that part of it. I always thought that that was more important than the X's and O's, but you had to have both, obviously.
Now, Coach, we're talking about college football. It starts out this week, and there's a lot of controversy around college football today. And certainly you were with a team, SMU, that knows its share of controversy in paying players. And today, now it's an okay thing to do. It's done. It's set out and done. How does that impact a coach like you? And then you always had the stigma and the pressure of having to win because you'd lose your money. Now, all of a sudden, money is very serious. You'd lose your sponsors, or you'd have your alumni or your boosters or whatever we call it. They would give you a lot of pressure going, we want you to win. We want you to win. What kind of pressure and what kind of changes this pay-for-play system in college football doing to coaches like you, or coaches in general?
I think that's I've been following it, obviously, like everybody has. I think that's why Nick Saban got out of Alabama. He didn't want to, basically become pro football with the college kids, and the recruiting nowadays goes to where they can get the most money as in that portal, and they can transfer. They don't have to sit out anymore. That probably affects it as much as anything. And it's just kind of, to me, sad to see it go this way. But it's there, and it's going to be now. I think you're looking at basically pro football at the college level. And the teams that have the money are going to be the ones that are going to be your top 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 schools. And, they've increased the playoff system to include more teams. And I saw SMU was rated 13th for this year. Now they raised in 30 days, like $300 million from boosters just to get into the ACC or the Big 12. And, it's just, college football has changed dramatically.
Well, you've taken it. You got people. All of a sudden, I'm a billionaire out of Texas, and I'm telling a coach how to coach players with no background, no experience. But I'm using the fact that I'm wealthy in a field and I'm giving money to you to be able to tell you how to do your job. How does that affect coaches? Because this is going to open up a lot of pressure, it seems, on coaching now.
Yeah, well, you got to be able to, as a coach, you got to be able to stand up to those type people that are trying to, do that. I don't think that, any of the quality coaches, they'll deal with it, but they're not going to listen to that alumnus tell them what to do. They know they have to coach and they have to do what they believe in and not what somebody else is believing in. And so I think the top coaches, are able to deal with that. They don't really listen to it too much.
Coach, you as you talked about money and boosters and the major money, Jerry Jones is a perfect example with the Dallas Cowboys. You can't go out there and buy a Super Bowl. You can't buy a championship. You can get some good key players, but if you don't have that unity working together, you got the most talent on the field that doesn't work together, you're not going to win a game. And you see these kind of happen. In college football, you've got a quarterback, and I want to use Carson Beck, for example. He comes to Georgia, he plays, he gets a tremendous amount of money. Then all of a sudden, he leaves and takes all that money to Miami with him and gets even more money, and he's paid more than some professional football players, coaches and players in general, paid a lot. And Eric Dickerson was on the show, and of course, Eric, if anybody knows about paying college players, Eric is great with it. He brought up a good pro and con, and he said, and I'd love your take on this. He said, I love the players getting paid. I think the NCAA should do it. I don't think it should be coming where it's coming. The NCAA is still he goes, I'm not a fan of them, what they did to my school, what they did to me. He said, if you don't think Herschel Walker was paid, you're out of your mind. Everybody got benefits. They just kept it under. Now it's above the radar. He said, the only problem I have is this portal system where a player comes in, takes all this money, goes to another team. He said there should be some restriction that he's got to give the money back if he leaves before the deal's done. What's your thoughts on all this?
Well, I think he's right on. There's got to be something done with that. And I know even President Trump said something that they're going to do something to try to deal with just what you're talking about, because that's not right, obviously. And I don't know that anybody can really survive if they keep doing that. The boosters will eventually, pull away if that continues to happen. And I think they can deal with it if they put back in the restrictions about leaving. If you take this much money from this school, then you got a different rule than a guy that just walked on there that didn't get paid. And that is, the school has the right to retain you because they paid you, or give the money back, like you said. But I think the give the money back one's going to be harder to pull off than the inside restrictions. I really think the NCAA is non-existent now. They are not really even helping the game of football. And a lot of it is because of obviously the transfer portal stuff, but in the same way, the game itself, they're not doing what I think they need to do to for the rules, for the scoring, for all the different kickoffs, all the different things that they need to be dealing with. They haven't really dealt with.
Now, how do you take a coach like you, take a player? Because Urban Meyer found out it's a lot different coaching pro football than college, but now we've made college football like pro. What do you do when a player looks at you and says, I'll just leave. You're going to do what I want you to do. I'm paid more than you. I'm one of your greatest players, and I'll leave if you do this, if you put pressure. What do you do with a player like that, and have you encountered that?
Oh, yeah, you definitely have. I always, from the get-go in pro football, would sit down with the guy and get all that straightened out before he even comes on the team. Andre Rison, for example, was the highest paid player. He was going to be a free agent, and I knew he was going to get the most money in the league. I can remember telling Belichick when we were practicing, he said, "Man, Andre Rison is something else." He's the head coach at Cleveland at that time. I said, "Yeah, we practiced 5 days against him." I said, "He's uncoverable." And so he became a free agent. So I told Andre at the start of the last season I had him, I said, "Andre, I'm going to make you the highest paid player in the league, okay? But the Atlanta Falcons are not going to pay you, okay? So what you need to do, and I need to do with you, I need to be honest with you, and you need to be honest with me. I need you to do these specific things this final year." And being honest with him and straight up with that, guess what? He had an unbelievable season, and Cleveland paid him the most money ever in the history of the game of football and made him the highest paid receiver. But Belichick couldn't get Andre to do the things that I got him to do from that standpoint. And they cut him after 1 year, after paying him unbelievable amount of money. So I think you have to be honest with the pro players, and you got to be honest now with the college kids straight up. If you come here, I'm going to do these things. This is what I'm about. And if you don't want to be here, then go somewhere else. And if they come, guess what? They already know what the deal is, and because I've been straight up with them.
Atlanta's a perfect example. And you know about the team. They had and you know about this position. Just last year, they've spent more money than anywhere with Kirk Cousins. And then mid-season, because they couldn't perform him, had to cut him and sit him on the bench, and now has a backup quarterback out playing him. And when you have those situations happen and you got pressure from other people, who's running the team there?
Well, again, the coach has to be running the team and making those decisions on the players and so on and so forth. But now with the way the money's going, like Kirk Cousins is sitting on the bench with, one of the biggest contracts in the league. You have to, he's still got to play and still got to be a positive influence on your team. So you need to be straight up with him. This is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. And if this doesn't work out, then you're back in there and you got to be ready to play. And
you say being honest, and Kurt had stated in a statement that I heard that Kirk Cousins said, "I wasn't told I was going to be set on the bench permanently. I wasn't told." He goes, "I sat on the bench thinking it was a game, and I agreed to do that. And all of a sudden now I'm not starting quarterback." He wasn't happy with it, and he wanted to get traded, but he's not been able to. Atlanta they've webbed it so bad they can't get rid of him, and they can't move him without it costing a fortune. So how do you prevent those situations?
Well, like I said, you try to deal with them before the season starts. Like even the fact that Kurt made those comments, the coaches got to call him in and say, "Listen, you need to tell me those things. I don't need to be hearing them on the TV or through these things. You need to tell me, and then I'll be honest with you about whatever you ask, whatever you want of me." And that's a perfect situation of what I'm talking about between coach and player. They're not on the same, not on the same page. And we're on the same page. It caused those issues.
Now, college football, it starts. We're seeing a lot of great teams out there. Of course, some of the big teams are ranked. Texas is ranked number 1. You got Georgia ranked up there again. You got Clemson. You got your big powerhouse teams ranked up there. How do you see this season playing out, especially with this portal system? How do you see the season playing out, and things that people can get excited to look for and things that people need to be prepared for that might be shocking?
Well, all it's going to take is Ohio State or one of those top teams to lose not 1 but 2 games, and then you got major issues because everybody else is going to be on the side of the other guy, basically. I like watching how Texas is doing things. I really think that he's handling, his ability to have the key players and manage the money, the portal, all that. I thought Ohio State has done a pretty good job too. It's just like pro football now, though. I mean, that's what it is. You're as good as the players you pay.
Now, with college football, and you mentioned the teams, every team has its albatross team. Georgia certainly has Alabama. It doesn't matter what kind of season we have challenges with them. Georgia, I'd like to say this, owns Texas right now. I know a few people will be like, oh, I can't believe he said that, but I'm a Georgia guy. I come from there. Georgia right now has had very good run over Texas. What causes that? What causes teams to be able to, like Alabama, what Alabama does to Georgia and Georgia's now done to Texas, be able to beat them so many times?
Well, the systems, are match up for Georgia very well on those type things. I think also Georgia's done a good job of the team concept is bigger than the individual. I'm not sure that Texas, I think Sarkisian has done a pretty good job of managing these personalities, but at the same time, I don't know that they're all one together as a team as much as Georgia is. They're both good teams, and any day, any one of them could beat the other one, and it's just the right timing of the games, and Georgia's had that kind of ability to do it, just like Alabama had the ability to do it over Georgia.
Who do you think is probably one of the greatest college football players, coaches coaching right now? Or when I say greatest, probably one of the strongest and the most dangerous one for a team to play?
Well, I think Sarkisian has it going on right now. His commitment to his system, the brand of football they play. He's made some good decisions in tough times. I think he is probably.
What do you see SMU doing this year? SMU had a great year. I thought it would have been great to have Georgia and SMU play each other for a championship. I was talking to Eric, and he said, I always wanted to play Herschel. I know we could have beat him. We were a better team. We had more speed. We had a more complete team, but they put us in that damn probation. And he said, that was our game. That was our game. So I want to talk about two things with saying that. How do you think that the new system will keep that from occurring again? And then also let's talk a little bit about the playoff system and how that keeps a team alive that can lose one or two games.
Well, those are all tough questions. I think the battle between the schools will continue to be a challenge. I do think that because you have some voters, the pool is who's voting for the 1 through 10 teams changes and are not totally football guys sometimes even making those decisions. And so when those teams that, like I said, that might lose 2 games are still in the top 10. Well, those obviously people know that they have good players and good people, and they can beat anybody on any given day. But I think the ability to go undefeated and the ability to stay in that top 1 or 2 now is harder and harder and harder because of the way things are done. And it'll be fun to watch this year.
You think the new playoff system helps solve that a little bit, to not have to have that perfect season to win a national championship?
Yeah, I do think that. And I think that we watched it last year, even when they got to those Final Four teams. I think it's doable to, not be one of those guys because of now the way the playoff system is, that you win during the playoffs. Guess what? You're national champ.
Coach, what's next for you?
For me, I'm helping at UH over here, helping at a couple high schools. I get calls from coaches all over the mainland that I've been with, and so I stay in touch. And of course, the FaceTime stuff and the iPod stuff now, I can talk to the whole coaching staff and put me on the screen, and so it's pretty. I stay pretty busy with football still.
Coach, I want to thank you for joining us, and it's very exciting. I know you got a lot of games to watch today, and we got a lot. The energy's going to be pumped up. College football is here. It's kicking off. It's going to be a great season, and I want to thank you to your contribution to football and what you've done, and to the players and the people that are involved with it, and to me personally, I want to thank you for all you've done.
Joe, I appreciate it. Always good to see you and hear your voice, and good luck on your podcast.
We'll see you next year at the Masters.
I'll be there.
I'm looking for you. Thanks, Coach. Have a great day. And remember, Florida, get ready. This is going to be a great football season. College football's off this week. Next week, pro. We're going to see some great teams out there, great coaching, and we're going to have one of the best seasons ever. Root your team on to win that big game. We're looking forward to it. Live, work, shop, play Florida. Have a great weekend.
Aloha.
You've been listening to The Joe Mullins Show. Find out more and engage with Joe by visiting the website, themullinscompanies.com. That's themullinscompanies.com.